evening and welcome along, folks. We're at episode 56 in season 1 of the Cowboys Experience. You have the whole group and nations represented. So we have from England, we have Jamie. From Wales, we have Mr. Richard Jones. And up there in Scotland, we have Paul Stewart. And I'm representing Ireland. So how are we all getting on, folks?
Salute. Good.
Yep.
Yeah, ready for the pubs to reopen.
Anarchy.
It's going to be fun when that happens.
Mad.
I'm actually not looking forward to it, but it's actually kind of weird, like, from hearing the stories and back in our friends in the US, Shannon Gross, our good friend, was telling me that bars are like opening up like 25% of capacity, then slowly moving it to 50% and that. So I think that might be the approach that me probably will end up taking back home.
Yeah.
So it's all based on capacity.
Yeah, I know over here in Ireland they're talking about maybe something like that, a 25% capacity, but it'll be 1 in, 1 out for the pubs. So it's going to be fun for a while anyway. I doubt any of you are going to be coming to Dublin for a stag party in the next 6 months anyway.
Probably not, no.
Come up for a bit of sex weekend though. Screw us,
yeah. But if Paul, I think you're going to give a shout out to our sponsors, are you?
Yep. Shout out to our sponsors, Cowboys Experience. If you're going to a great game this year, be sure to watch the Cowboys and book it through Cowboys Experience for pre-game, stadium tours, the whole lot. Myself, I've used them before. And if you're going to book up with the Cowboys Experience, be sure to use UK Cowboys and get an extra gift when you're going to make your booking. So, like I said, I've used them before. Got nothing but love for those guys, and they've been helping us help grow the channel and that. So yeah, big shout out to our sponsors, Cowboys Experience.
Absolutely. I think everyone has used them at this stage, nearly in the group bar me. I haven't made it over for a game, so I mean, the things they do for you guys, just looking at your Facebook and Twitter feed when you're over there, have been phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like the players that you get to meet over there are like old and current players. Like from the previous times I've been over there. I've met Michael Gallup, Cole Beasley, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and obviously Hall of Famer Drew Pearson. I mean, what more can you want?
Yeah. So if we jump into the news round anyway, so it's been a slower news week, and I mean I think that's the norm and to be expected at this time of the year. It's kind of, you know, without the current circumstances, you kind of the rookie mini camps and that going on, and you know. But I think the big news in the last week really was Alden Smith reinstatement. So, Paul, I know you love a good D-line, man. So
yep.
If you want to take it away.
Yeah. So Alden Smith has been given conditionally reinstated by the NFL from Wednesday. So this is great news for Dallas. And because we were kind of hoping that, like, based on last week's show, we were discussing that quite a lot with Kelsey and Megan from Blogging with the Boys, who do Girls Talking Boys now. So we did kind of cover that quite a lot, and we were thinking, what do we think? Is it going to happen? We were actually really 50-50 back then, but to see it actually go through, it's a big bonus for Dallas. And if anyone has been keeping up to date with him, like following him on his social media and that, he's been working out relentlessly despite what's going on in the world right now. He is looking jacked, looking game like not, I wouldn't say game ready, obviously, because we need to get practice reps and that, but he's looking in tip-top condition to be going into training camp if that does go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks an absolute specimen. He looks like he's like some sort of mythical Greek statue that's just come to life and someone's named Alden Smith. That's exactly what he looks like. The guy is stacked. He is ready to go.
That is the best way to describe that, is like a mythical statue.
Yeah.
Spot on, mate.
But he needs I mean, obviously the guy's had years out. He needs time. He needs reps. All that completely understandable. But this is one of those two big gambles that Jerry and Co have made, and so far, at least, it's got traction. It's a possibility. The guy could play, whether it's even to start rotationally, even if he doesn't start the first couple of games, whatever happens down the line is fine. But at the minute, it's looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, and no, just funny that you mentioned about what Jerry is. It's like it's low risk but high reward, and we've done that so many times over the past. Rolando McLean, perfect example.
Yeah.
Like we might manage to get him come out of retirement, sign him in for 2 years. Like we had him on for 1 year, then sign him a 1 year extension. Then he wanted a bigger contract, and at the time we just kind of think, nah, we'll just move on from there, and that's it. But what he did for us,
he performed though. That was the point,
but for what he did for Dallas, he was brilliant. Him and Sean Lee were brilliant as part of that linebacker core back then. All we're hoping is if we can do the same where Alden Swift take the pressure on the opposite side from likes of DeMarcus Lawrence, D-Law, and also likes of when we're got likes of Poe and McCoy and obviously my boy Gallimore for the third down. So, but yeah. I mean, I can talk so much praise about this D-line for this year coming up, man. Tyron Tropper's coming back, so it's all smiles.
Hit nail on the head earlier. You know what I mean? We did it with Rolando McLean, and as soon as this come out, yeah, people are sceptical just because of the history. But you look at it, it's low risk, high reward, and if it pays off, if it doesn't pay off, we're not paying him a lot of money. If it pays off, and you know what I mean, we're going to get sacks galore from him. So
don't forget as well the biggest controversy of the one that we ever had was obviously Greg Hardy. He still did produce good games. But because his name was just more controversial than his game performances, unfortunately, people weren't giving him the benefit of doubt. And it's a shame, though, because the guy was a talented player, but it seemed to what he did was completely wrong back then and that. But like I say, it's like Jerry seems to has this knack now for getting these players to either come in a really cheap contract for that 1 year and do a great job and manage to kind of keep that ball rolling for a certain amount of time. So who knows? This could happen with Clinton Dix. Who knows? I know it's a completely different position, but who knows?
Yeah,
that's a valid point. Is he's done it so many times, and that's the criticism a lot of people have of Jerry Jones. Is that he, like one guy was saying yes to me on Facebook last night. I can't remember his name. Apologies, but he said Jerry is the king of doing it cheap. He loves doing things cheap to try and get guys in. And yeah, he does like taking risks. That's Jerry Jones through and through. That's who he is. That's why he is the owner and GM of the Dallas Cowboys. But at the end of the day, he's done it so many times. He's got a knack for it now. You'd think.
Yeah,
and he clearly has.
Jerry has his critics. He is the master of marketing when it comes to Dallas. Like. It doesn't matter if you're a small-time player or you're a star player. For star-time players, he knows how to turn a bad scenario into a good scenario. For example, Zeke.
Yeah.
Like the whole Zeke coup. Remember, he made the T-shirt when he signed them. And
exactly.
Like you managed to turn that around, like from a complete negative to an absolute positive, and people did, and the T-shirts sold out.
Yeah.
Like even though they were very limited, but they all sold out. So he managed to make a good It's all about. He knows how to make money, but he knows how to kind of take an opportunity from a negative.
Like I think even if we look back at last season, and I think we also don't give Will McClay enough credit. Look at what happened with Robert Quinn last season. They got him in for a sixth rounder, and he went on to a $70 million contract with the Chicago Bears. You know,
so upset.
Yeah.
At the same time, if we were to sign Robert Quinn, we don't know what our situation with. We will discuss this later on during the talk show. But you know where I'm talking. You know what I'm going. You know, guys, what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
it's all about the cap. All about the cap.
People have said it before, and you can never ever having too many people to rush the passer.
Yeah, and speaking of rushing the passer. Rich, take us away on Randy Gregory. What's the latest we have on him?
So basically nothing big, but under the terms of the old agreement, because obviously the new agreements come in, the new CBA, but given Randy was suspended indefinitely under the old CBA, he still falls under those rules. So basically what it says is from the date that he was suspended, officially applied for reinstatement, there is a 60-day period where Commissioner Roger Goodell has to give his decision. Now, we don't know officially when that went in writing, but all we know is that it was reported on the 23rd that he had officially applied for reinstatement. Now, I tweeted Mike Fisher early on today, and he basically said, at the minute, we can't, words to the effect of, we can't count on the 60-day clock running down on Gregory, because one, we don't know, as I said, exactly when that piece of paper went in, when it was officially filed. We don't know if it was the 23rd, we don't know if it was early, we don't know if it was later. And also everything that's going on at the minute with COVID. We don't know how that's going to delay things. If it did, it would be very reasonable to assume the only difference there would be that, or not the difference, but there would have to be an agreement because it is a legal contract. You would have to have an agreement from both sides for any sort of extension to that period. But obviously, they're not necessarily going to publicize that because there's no need to, and there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody
Also,
really gains anything.
Just to add on top of that as well for you there, Richard, also you need to think about the NFL staff as well. Yeah. How long is it going to take them to process it due to COVID? Like, it's obviously, like if everyone was in the office, it might have been done on that same particular day, but if they're working from home to get the documentation all finalised, it might take those extra couple of days, so we don't know.
Exactly, because even though it's under the old CBA and everything, as everyone probably already knows, is at the discretion of Roger Goodell, it still takes a team of people behind him at the very least to get everything in motion, to do all the paperwork, to have those communications. You've got the legal team for a start. If they can't get in and do things and it can't be done remotely, or if Roger chooses not to do it remotely, then realistically it's not going to happen for a while. So the 60-day period, if we go from the 23rd of March, ended last Friday, and today was the first official league day back in. Now, Mike Fisher said he hadn't heard anything, basically, don't count on it, but he was going to ask the question, so we'll wait and see what he comes back with. So it's basically any point from sort of now moving forward, we may well hear something about Randy Gregory, hopefully.
So, Jamie, I know myself and yourself were talking on draft night 2016 when we got Gregory. I think the two of us were over the moon that night. So tell us about Randy Gregory, the player, and what he could bring to the Dallas Cowboys.
I think he's pretty hard to tell in it because we've only seen flashes of him, of what he did if I'm not at Nebraska, and sadly he's obviously had the off-field issues, and like I said at the time of the CBA that what he was doing, and not condoning the use of marijuana or anything like that, but it's not a performance-enhancing drug, so I think some of the suspensions for that, and just across the league entirely, it's probably a bit harsh. Like I say again, not condoning the use of it, but is he gaining an edge in his performance by using it? No. Does he need to get help? He clearly needs to get help with it. So fingers crossed. Now I'm saying, and I know I've said this twice now, that he's not using it to enhance his performance. So fingers crossed. Now there's something in place to say, look, not so much that they'll allow it as such. I mean, they'll frown upon it still, but they can still play. Maybe we'll see the Randy Gregory that was coming out of college.
Absolutely. So the other kind of big news this week, that the news that keeps on giving and refuses to go away from us. And for me as a defensive back guy, Jamal Adams, it refuses to go away.
Yeah,
he's on the outs with the Jets again. He wants the extension now. The Jets are not interested in even talking to him about it.
Really?
Yeah, they're looking to push it out. I had a look at his cap numbers earlier this afternoon because I'm a geek like that. But he's not making very much this year. So, Jamie, what are your thoughts in general on the possibility of trading for Jamal Adams? Would you do it?
we spoke about this building up to the draft. I would have given our pick, no disrespect to CeeDee Lamb, I would have given our first round pick this year for him. This deal needs to happen. We are desperate for a playmaking defensive back. We need someone like Jamal Adams. Like you say, he's Capit's not that bad this year. First and a third. I'm making that deal. I know there was reports coming out the last couple of days saying that if the Cowboys want to come into play, the Jets would potentially listen for a first rounder and potentially Michael Gallup. Now, if that's what it's going to cost, I would probably not be too happy, only because, like I say, no disrespect to CeeDee Lamb, but this is his first year in the league. He's probably not going to be as productive as he might be down the next couple of years. Now, if we had a playmaking tight end, what Gronk used to be in terms of that, then I would potentially be happy to give up Gallup, but we haven't got that kind of tight end. So if they want a first and Gallup, they can take themselves off and jog on. But yeah, first and the third, I'm making that deal.
Here's my 2 cents on this, right? The talk about putting Michael Gallup there, right? I can understand why, because he is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's in his last year of his contract as well, right?
No, Michael Gallup's not.
Is he not? All right, so...
this is his third year, so he's not in the final year.
Right, okay, right.
Yeah, third of 4, yeah.
Right, so it would have been a different story if he was in his last year of his contract, but even still, if that's the case, then obviously a first rounder needs to be given up for Adams.
Yeah.
But if we were to trade Michael Gallup, and I don't want us to, I love Michael Gallup. I think he's fucking amazing. Right? Mm-hmm. Right? The Jets would need to add something on top of Jamal Adams. I'm sorry, but they need to. If they give us a second round plus Adams for a first and Gallup, that'd be a fair trade. In a way.
Interesting take.
But if they're wanting the first and the third, no chance. Jerry is in no way want to give up those extra picks. I mean, I keep going back to my favourite pick. I mean, we fucking got a fucking great D tackle in the third round this year. Like, who knows who we might get next year or the year after, depending what we trade away to get Adams. You know what I mean? So there's, but
I think as well, looking at it, with the potential of this team, that everyone's said, and it's been a couple of years now, that this team could potentially go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, there's a couple of pieces missing, but we should be on the cusp of at least a deep playoff run. So giving up the 17th last year, this year, you could have potentially said, you know what, that's pretty high. Now, for what this team is predicted to do, this pick could be next year's first round pick could be further down the first round. That's why you need to make it happen, because it could end up, although it's a first round, it could end up being a steal, because it could end up being a mid to high 20s pick.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Here's another scenario for you guys, and I want to get your guys' input on it. Let's just say Jamal Adams plays out his last year of his contract. Becomes a free agent.
Well,
not one person even mentioned that.
See, the thing is, the Jets still have the option of his 5th year contract of his contract, so he still has 2 years effectively with the Jets, and the Jets have pretty much said, we're not going to talk an extension, but we're keeping you for 5 years.
He can do a Jalen Ramsey if he wanted to,
and that's the other side of it that I would say, right? If he wants to be Jalen Ramsey, do you want him in your dressing room?
But if he's that adamant just to play for us, yeah, I would take him. If he's even said it out in public, he's like that. It's like
Yeah.
the only team one team I want us to trade me for is Dallas, but at what cost?
I
Go on, Rich.
don't see him cutting off his nose to spite his face there. As much as he wants this, and he really does, Jamal now. Yeah. It's blatantly obvious he does. I don't see him going to that extent of being Jalen Ramsey 2.0 and doing that kind of thing. I just don't see it. Now, I've been of the opinion that ever since...
He's a lot more professional than Ramsey. Let's be fair.
Exactly. That's why I don't think that'll happen. I've thought this was going to happen one way or the other at some point since Byron walked or was allowed to go, because otherwise we just have nothing there. The bit that sucks for me is that it may well not be this year because, like you said, there are still 2 more years. The fact of the matter is, at the minute, all the stories that have come out about there being this rift between him and the Jets, it's all a complete load of bollocks. There's absolutely nothing going on. The only thing that's really changed is they've turned around and said, now, no, we are keeping you. Our aim is to keep you for the next 2 years. We want to do a deal with you, but with everything going on right now and everything else we're going to deal with, our focus is not doing an extension with you 2 years early as much as you feel you need it.
You gotta love New York. You gotta love New York. Both teams suck.
Yeah. Yep. I would love it on this team, but a first and a third is ridiculous. If he goes out to the market, I am concerned that someone will pay that. In which case, or some other sort of system that's, player trades and all the rest of it, someone will bite and pay that kind of thing, regardless of where Jamal wants to go, because at the end of the day, he doesn't have a choice until he's a UDFA.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, not UDFA, until he's a free agent. So
yeah.
It's irrelevant where he wants to go, really, in a trade. It really is. It's brilliant if he lands in Dallas. That's obviously where he wants to go. But if Philly want to jump in ahead of us and take him, then Philly can go do that. I really hope it doesn't happen, but it could happen.
I would rather pay him top whack for what the market would be at that time than what the Dolphins did with Byron Jones. And that's no disrespect to Byron Jones, but he just did not deserve that contract.
Well, don't forget Byron's a proper cover cornerback, whereas Jamal is more of a center of the field safety, hard hitting.
Don't get me wrong, but I just think for what he got, it was going to be one of those teams like Miami that had a shitload of cap money. And look at what they've already paid for defensive backs. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't they take one in the first round again as well this year. So they're going to be in a similar situation 4 or 5 years down the line where they potentially will have to then pay another DB.
And don't forget, they also have Xavier Howard, who is second highest paid cornerback in the league. They might have 2 shutdown corners that they're paying 15% of their cap to. For 2 corners, that doesn't strike me as right.
I stand by my statement. Both New York teams don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Amen to that.
But if it gets into a bidding war, sorry, Barry, if it gets into a bidding war, we are not getting Jamal Adams. That's what I think. If it gets to the point where he is where they thought this time sort of last week, we thought, okay, this could potentially happen where he's put out and everyone just bids, we're going to lose, we're not going to get him. I don't think it's going to happen. If it's a case of they only engage with us, yes, I think there is a very serious potential we could get him.
Here's my type of argument. If a player really wanted to play for us, like this is what I would do, right? I would say, well, okay, right. If so be it, I want to get traded. I want to go to one team and one team only. I've made that statement, right? But if I do become a free agent, there's only one team I want to play for.
I'll counter that, Paul. Right?
No, but honestly, see for me, if I was a fan of any particular team and they were interested in me, I would take a pay cut. I would, because it's the team I've always wanted to play for. Like, don't get me wrong. I know this is it's not exactly the best example, and he wasn't really necessarily a fan of the team, but in hindsight, he did the best thing for the team and also whatever, and that's Tom Brady. He took the pay cut to accommodate other players.
Yeah.
I know, but you know where I'm coming from, though, right? So.
Yeah. But the other side of that, though, is flip this back 2 years, right? And we were in the exact same situation. Yeah. We had a player who approached our head coach and said, "Come get me. Come get me."
Yes.
On the field. Yeah.
Traitor.
You know.
Traitor.
You know, you're saying a hometown discount, and he didn't want to do it. He wants the money, and he's in Baltimore.
But who knows? He might be available next year.
This is one of the only things, though, that really pisses me off when it comes to kind of this time of the year. And don't get me wrong, it is amazing that Jamal Adams has come out and said, "I want to be a Dallas Cowboy." But you put it on the flip side, it screws the team, essentially, because if he's coming out and saying, "I want to play for the Dallas Cowboys," the only team I want to play for is the Dallas Cowboys, that drives our price up. So if we go out to trade for him, they're going to want more from us, because they know how much that he wants to play for us.
That's a very good argument, Jamie. Very good argument. Because it's because we are the most valuable franchise out there. We've got the money, we've got the capital, whatever. Like, most successful in terms of business, and
plus everybody hates us as well. So
there's that as well. But whenever you mention Dallas Cowboys in any type of trade or anything like that, it becomes more than what it should be. If you were trading from the Browns to, I don't know, Jacksonville, you're talking about a fair trade.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Cowboys, you're going to overcompensate probably, because it's the media behind it. It's like, oh, Dallas have made a trade. Everyone's losing their shit, you know?
But, well, that's the point. But there's no surprise from a player perspective that a lot of people turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I want to go play for Dallas." You know, I got family in Dallas. Fan. Everyone grew up a Dallas fan, but there's only one reason nearly every pro out there says they're a Dallas Cowboys fan, and it's the money. At the end of the day, people are in this for the money. Jamal Adams wants to be paid more. He wants a deal 2 years early because he wants more money and he wants more guaranteed money. Even if he comes to Dallas and he comes on a team-friendly deal, and Jerry ropes him in with a no-income tax in Dallas, even though that's irrespective because it depends on where you play your games, he will still make money here because of all the endorsement deals and all the rest of it he will get because of the focus that this team has. Everyone is drawn here for the money, not because they genuinely grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's my perspective of it.
You know
Jamal Adams, I think, is very careful of, because he wants money. I don't blame him, but he wants money.
Just to support your argument there, Richard, just to support that, Melvin Gordon, perfect example.
There you go.
Remember him in the draft? He wore the star during an ESPN interview. He says, "Oh, yeah, that's the team I really support."
Yeah,
I wonder why. Then look what happened. His draft stock was higher than it should have been. He got drafted by the Chargers. He did well for them, but then he got way too greedy when it comes to negotiating a new contract. Now he's playing ball in Denver now. Yeah.
Because irrespective of what these people think and irrespective of what the Dallas front office actually thinks, it's all well and good in Earl Thomas coming up and saying, "Oh yeah, come get me, coach. I only want to play for the Dallas Cowboys," irrespective of whether he actually wants to or not, and irrespective of whether the front office actually goes, "Yeah, okay, we could use someone like that." Like you said, the second Dallas Cowboys get mentioned, NFL Network runs with it. Everyone else runs with it. ESPN runs with it. Every man and his dog will run with it. His stock automatically goes up. Therefore, every other team thinks they have to beat Jerry Jones.
We're the world's team. We're the world's team. What else can we say? Everyone wants it. We're like Marmite. We're exactly like Marmite. You either love it or hate it. And no one can stop talking about it.
Jamie, last word to you on Jamal Adams.
Just to add what Rich says as well. In fact, look at how many times this team plays primetime games. Pretty much half the season.
Thanksgiving, you name it.
You put it
always.
You put yourself back in in the limelight. So even if he was a free agent and he signed a 2-year deal, he's going to play nearly 50% of his games on primetime TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So the next area we're going to look at is not so much our roster makeup, but what other free agents are still out there that could improve this team. So before we got on the call, I sent you a top 100. Rich is dying to get in here with someone.
What's my favourite word?
Apart from clown?
No, that's it. Clown.
Clown. Yeah.
Clowny. I want Clowny.
You want Clowny.
I second that. I don't care.
Davian Clowney, I want in that linebacker core. That will be
linebacker. He's a D lineman.
Undisputedly the best.
He's a D lineman. He's a D lineman.
Anyway, I want him.
You want him?
See, I've been a clown.
Paul wants him. Jamie, do you want Davian Clowney?
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still on that list. But yeah, let's get him in. Can never have 2 rushes.
So the way we're going at the minute, we're going to have a defensive end core of D-Law, Alden Smith, Randy Gregory, Jadeveon Clowney. Am I forgetting anyone?
Keep talking. This is music to my fucking ears here.
We need to start taking bets on how to these things takes before he mentions.
Can these guys play DB?
Anton West, Tyron Crawford, my boy.
So I think we're all in agreement anyway. Yeah, definitely Jadeveon Clowney is a name that we're all interested in. Anyone else that's sticking out to you?
I think for me,
I'm just looking at the list just now.
Yeah,
add Ryan or even Kirkpatrick just to add some veterans in that secondary.
Yeah, in terms of veterans, and in terms of the only thing that concerns me is age and ability of that age, and it would be, and this might cause some type of reaction from you guys, but it would be Aqib Talib.
I would not be averse to Aqib Talib at all.
Wouldn't be
because he's 34 years old. He's not going to get any better, but the knowledge he can pass on to these younger players for likes of Xavier Woods and everybody else, it can be very bring a really good foundation of experience to say, oh, that wee quick step this means that they can help him with the reads a little bit better and stuff like that. So also the other one I saw still, and he's so ranked down, it's our boy Ronald Leary.
Yeah.
He's number 49. He's only 31 years old. That's a good peak for being an offensive lineman at that age.
Yeah.
That's where you play your best years. My personal pick, I'm not saying that because personal myself, because I'm not exactly a pro, but
I'm going to throw this out here, and I was kind of holding this back during the Jamal Adams talk. So when we approached them earlier in the year about trading for Jamal for a first, they turned around to us and said they wanted Zach Martin or Tyron Smith.
I would tell.
Now, I'm not giving up either of those, but
I would tell them to royally fuck off.
Oh, absolutely. But if we could go towards the Jets and offer them a package of a first, the conditional third we're going to get for Byron Jones, and one of Connor McGovern or Connor Williams, and that allows us to bring back in Ron Leary, who then slots back in left guard. What would the thoughts be?
I'd keep McGovern, that's for sure.
So you'd be willing to give Connor Williams up?
Yeah, personally, don't get me wrong. I really do like Connor Williams. He wants to play for Dallas and stuff like that, but I just don't know. He's no, from when we drafted him to last season, I didn't see much progression in terms of his physicality.
I will remind you though, he absolutely kept Aaron Donald in check when we played the Rams in the Coliseum.
He did. Give him,
know,
like credit is definitely due. But I think Solofilo is definitely at the time.
Filo's gone.
I know that he's gone, but
Yeah.
during that game, he deserved a lot of credit for that game as well. That's why he's moved on for a bigger contract.
Yeah,
and that is a big, and no one's actually talked about that. That's just a bit of a big hit. It's like, so even though we'd never really talked about Solofilo that much, but whenever he was on the field, he did his job to a T. He filled that role really well, and I was hoping we could see him longer term, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
I don't pull the trigger because, like you said, at the end of the day, we've got a third-round conditional, and if they want a first and a third, I'm already okay with giving them first. Just give away basically an extra third-round pick. I can sleep at night, me personally, if I'm the GM. Give them what they want, get Jamal Adams, hope they go for it. Okay, brilliant. If they want to tack much else onto that, realistically, I'm telling them to trot on, because a first and a third is more than enough for Jamal Adams. Definitely not both of those and a player. Anyone really on the roster. I wouldn't trade anyone on the thinking practice squad on top of a first and third for Jamal Adams. As much as I want him, I'd then get Ron Leary back, have a competition between those guys of who's going to start, and have your best 5 guys starting at the line, which you should always do anyway. And then hopefully get Clowney in as well, if you can't get in Jamal Adams anyway. But if you can make Clowney work as well, then that would just be absolutely amazing. But if you don't work Jamal, then if you can't make that work, in my opinion, you have to go and get Clowney, because there's the whole discussion of everyone's in 2 schools of thought. It seems you're either you're amazing on the line and that eases things up in the backfield, or you're amazing in the backfield and that eases up things for your pass rush. But if you're gonna go by that chain of thought, then it's one or the other. You have to go and get one or the other. So if you could get both, that'd be amazing. I don't realistically think it happens, but I don't make that deal. First and the third is my ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Paul's mentioned it a couple of times, but that's why the Jets suck and why the Jets have had a trash team for years. Their GMs think that the Cowboys are going to give up one of 2 of the best O-line players in the league. Not like I say, no disrespect to Jamal Adams, guys. You don't give up an anchor like that on the line to bring in on the defensive side when we had so many problems anyway that needed to be fixed. Yeah, we've addressed them gradually, but although it's tempting to bring Leary, I just know the Cowboys clearly love McGovern. They never even interviewed him in the draft process, so there's something that they realise, so they're not going to give up on him yet. And we've seen flashes of Williams, of what he can do, and I think just more so the age of what he is, that there's still a couple of years there where you're going to get the improvement that you're going to want to see. And like Rich said, first and third's my ceiling. I'm not giving up anything else for him.
Yeah.
If you don't want a first and a third, then you can stay shit for however long you want to be.
Yeah. Like, I think, Jamie, you make a good point there in terms of Connor Williams is still only 22 years of age. I mean, he's a child in terms of offensive line play. But, Paul, I know you were going to jump back in there, so take it away.
So, I know we're talking about, like, Jamal Adams, New York Jets. Take that out of the equation. Looking at who's there available, look, based on the list that we've got right now, sitting at number 8 as the top free agents is Eric Reid.
Yeah.
Safety. I mean, the guy can ball. I mean, that would definitely have filled a complete void for likes of Jeff Heath, for sure. Yeah. But he's definitely not at the same level as Adams, by all means. But it's still an improvement. I wouldn't say, improvement, potentially, depending on how he fits in within the system, what he can do. But he's only 28 years old, and he's a free agent, so we can probably get him probably a better deal in terms of without hitting the salary cap, in terms of where we need to give up for the future, like draft picks and all that type of stuff. So that's definitely an option we can look at as well as Eric Reid.
Yeah. Who would you have between him and Aqib Talib for a bridge player?
For well, that's a good question actually, because I'm a big supporter of experienced players passing down knowledge.
So
I would like to see Talib maybe, but logically, I'm more in favour of Eric Reid. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah,
because he's been in the league for about 6 seasons at least. He has got a lot of experience, not as much as like Talib has. At least 6 more. Like he's had over 13 years in the NFL, where like Eric Reid has about 6 or 7 years since he got drafted.
Yeah.
So, but still, those certain amount of years playing for Carolina, or when he played under Ron Riviera, all those years where he is a defensive type of coach. There's some things that we could probably still learn from Reid that it can pass on to the other safeties coming in. So, and there's less to give away. That's where I'm more kind of favour. I'm kind of more thinking year after year after year, like continually progressing.
You sound very similar to my chain of thought of basically my heart wants to keep Talib, my brain wants Eric Reid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the same reason, for a bridge player, because like you said, you want someone who can still come in and teach guys because they're probably gonna leave maybe after just 1 year. So it's maybe only a 1 year bridge because if you look from the historical thing or semi-historical of this team doesn't really pay that much big money to safety, say, okay, Jamal Adams is out of the picture. Realistically, we're probably stuck until we draft someone. So I could just pull that down again. Until we draft someone. So you're looking for a bridge player. So you've got Talib or Reid. The one that's probably most capable of playing to a higher standard whilst still teaching the younger guys is Reid. As much as I would want Talib, and I think he would be better for that teaching aspect, which I love as well. I do think it makes more sense.
I definitely think for more impact player, and that's what McCarthy's looking for. He wants to try and get the best players available on the field. Does Talib have that impact with his age? Have that same effect? I really don't think so. Personally, for me, like, why would you say like it was like last year? Having that's a completely different scenario where we had Jason Witten on for that 1 year.
Yeah,
but it didn't really help out Jarwin.
No,
in a way, and then it didn't help Dalton as well.
Like,
but it's never gonna.
Yeah, like, but if I look at it this way, right? We brought in Darryl Worley, we brought in Savion, or not the Morris Kennedy. They're kind of your bridge players at corner. I think Derek Reid would be a good bridge at safety because we've very little there, and we've very little that like Xavier Woods is out of contract at the end of this year, as far as I know.
Yeah,
has a 1 year deal. But Jamie, what are your thoughts on that? Like in terms of bringing in one or the other?
You can make an argument for both. I'm just going to throw another name out there just to see what people say. And I know he's been out of the game for a year. Given him a chance to kind of get over his injury worries. And more so, probably just maybe, depending on obviously how much of training camp we get, to see what we've got. But what about Eric Berry?
It was talked about before.
I think a few of us mentioned it a couple of months ago. Like I said, just to see what he's got.
Well, don't give him that. I think if I was Mike McCarthy, I'd still bring him in. But if I just don't think he's going to be that same impactful player that he was at Kansas City. No. I'm definitely not Mike McCarthy's bloody psychic or anything like that. But I can see him just kind of looking more towards younger players. That you can get more longevity out of them to kind of think of it more like keep the train going, like add a little bit of coal. How long is it going to last to burn? Like just keep it on a steady pace, going like reaching it higher and higher and higher up to the top.
That's just another one I was just flicking through. But like I say, Reid or Talib. Like I say.
Like Talib though, that would definitely be like a 1 year contract. There's no way we're going to give him a longer deal. Whereas Reid, he's still young. He's not even 30 yet. He's 28.
Yeah.
We can give him a 3-year contract. Gives us enough time to kind of do some more research on the next up and coming safeties. Not next year, but the year after, and kind of change our priorities when it comes to that. So there is that change where we can, like, we've got this covered for 3 years. Now we can actually focus elsewhere. But hopefully that. But again, there's the argument: does this type of player fit into our system? What we want to do? That always remains to be seen during training camp. Always though.
Yeah.
He potentially tides you over until the Jamal Adams bidding war. So.
Yeah. Again, I just, as much as I really love to see Adams in the silver and blue and white, at what cost? Like we gave up a first rounder for Cooper, and it turned out to be amazing. And but not everything is guaranteed. Not everything.
No. And even though that would be fair, that would be more than fair. The Jets aren't going to go for anything less. So
that's because they're idiots.
Yeah, they're clowns. They're absolute clowns. I completely agree with you, but they don't have to change that.
I'm going to have a dig at them. I'm sorry, but who are they to judge? Of all the years, the Jets have done. Bloody dogs.
Yeah.
Jesus, that was the dog snoring.
I was going to say, which end was that?
No, it wasn't from my.
Oh, it's glass.
That's for sure. What we're going to say is like the New York Jets over the course of years, they drafted Buck Fumble, they passed out and worn Sapp. So who are they to judge?
Yeah,
like how are they, like no one's going to take them serious. Never. And I'm sorry. I've got some friends who are Jets fans. If they ever were to watch this, I'm sorry, but your team's trash. I'm sorry.
The only issue, could you even really say it's an issue? I think the only worry about the Adams deal is that he's coming up so much to his obviously his next contract, and he's playing at such a high level. Is he then going to go missing when he gets this big deal, and then you lumped pay? Like, look at Brandon Carr. It was, and no disrespect to him, I mean, quality cornerback, hit the free agency, played really well building up to his last year. Hit free agency, we give him a massive contract, and he pretty much just went missing. And
that
would be the only worry. But they said that just the upside there is amazing, but it's just
Like I don't think you can judge going for a trade on that or dealing in free agency. You know, I think you've all kind of alluded to the point. Look, if Jamal Adams is potentially the missing piece in this jigsaw, and you're going to give up a first-round pick, that first-round pick is going to be in the late 20s or 30s. So what you're going to get, you're not going to get a first-round talent player at that time. So are you better to have that first-round talent on your roster right now, helping you potentially win a Super Bowl? Because we're in a situation, we're in a 2 or 3 year window, really, with this team. So for me, I think I'd go for it right now if it could be done.
I can't remember if there was the rumours that we'd on draft night had kind of looked at trying to trade for Adams on draft night, because what I'm thinking is then did the Cowboys raid?
It was just smoke in the wind, Jamie. Yeah. It was all smoke. Jerry knew what he wanted. Like, he couldn't believe his luck that we had CD Lamb in our laps, and he grasps that opportunity with both of his hands there, and you can sort of smile on his face in this $1 million yacht. So,
I was just thinking more. Was it that they thought the upside for CD Lamb was worth keeping the 17th pick for and not pursuing Adams, and they say maybe waiting another year and giving them, like you say, a first round pick that's essentially a second because of how low it's going to be, because they see more of an upside on Lamb than Adams.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a pick at number 17 directly just for Adams, we're in a situation where the Jets need anything they could get, and there were some good quality players in that area. They could have got CeeDee Lamb. They need wide receivers as well. I mean, if I was the Jets, I would have made that trade. Just a simple, just first round pick, and that's it.
If I were the Jets, I'd move to London.
Yeah.
Not if the Jags beat them.
Yeah.
Oh dear. It's now becoming the roast of all the shit teams.
I've another name here that I saw. I couldn't believe he was still a free agent. Is Darren Lee, linebacker?
I've just seen him on the. I can't believe how young he is as well. Sorry, Brian, but yeah.
No, take it away, Jamie. Go for it.
No, just when you say that, with how low on the list he is as well in terms of the rankings, I thought it would have been a lot higher than we were.
Yeah, like I remember Darren Lee on that. I know I keep harking back to this team, but that Ohio State team that won the first college playoff back in 2015. Darren Lee was one of their leaders on defense. The guy was everywhere. When you look at what he did back then and what he's done in the league, I know he's had injury issues, but he's one of those sideline to sideline type linebackers that we seem to be working with now in terms of Jalen and Leighton.
Exactly.
So if you can bring in another one of those sideline to sideline type defenders where you're playing in, it's nickel, I think, is where you're playing with 5 DBs, isn't it? You know, that you have someone there. I mean, God knows, all of us love Sean Lee. We can't say anything better about the man. But you're not guaranteed 15 or 16 games.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time that we start looking at adding a third guy there.
Well, just to add that on top of it, when you mentioned Darren Lee, the next person below that, and I know I keep going back to safety, is Tedrick Thompson from Seattle.
And he's only 25 as well.
He's 25 as well, exactly. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think it might be, if I was, I don't, like I said, I'm not a bloody psyche, but I can see McCarthy going for more younger players to kind of grow that relationship and build them across.
Yeah.
You know? So.
From the way it sounded to me, and it was good that you mentioned Sean Lee, because what he sounds to me is like a young Sean Lee.
Yeah.
So are you okay with having a younger version of Sean Lee on this team?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And not just that, we can have 2 general Lees if we want to now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at your packages where you only have two linebackers in, you have Leighton, you have Jalen, both injury issues. You have Darren Lee there as well if you could add him, and you have the general himself. You'd have a strong core with the likes of Joe Thomas, who can come in and be your third down linebacker, who can play coverage as well. You know, I mean, that's his wheelhouse.
Here's something to add in as well. What if we switch up from a 4 front to a 3 front? Now you've got 4 linebackers.
There you go.
There you go.
That's true.
You've got your Sam, Mike, Pirate, and I can't remember the other one.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
and you got 3 guys and Jalen. You could still send Jalen.
Yeah,
still
you could rush Jalen.
Still,
as said, as you both alluded to earlier, Alden Smith is looking like a Greek god. You can put him at outside linebacker, let him rush from there. You know, I know, Paul, you'd know more on specifics of it, but there's not much of a difference between an outside linebacker and defensive end in terms of where they're rushing from.
There is a bit of a difference. If you're playing as a pure solid defensive lineman, your one job on it is to put pressure on that offensive line, force them back, hit.
Yeah.
Get to especially if you're pass rushing from the outside, is try and get off the block as quickly as possible. But if you're running inside, it's just to try and collapse that pocket as much as you can. But whereas an outside linebacker, you can. There's different type of stunts where you look as though you are going to rush in, but you can still drop back in coverage. That's the main thing, is coverage. Like, even though you're an outside linebacker, like, coverage is still one of the other fundamentals of being a linebacker. Like I've never played linebacker, but in terms of when I played in that, we always had at least one linebacker that always blitzed, and we always alternated in terms of like just to give the offense different reads, and you know what I mean. So it's more of that type of hybrid position. It can be, but like I said, primarily it's more down to like reading what the quarterback's going to do. If it's an outside linebacker and it's a run play, they're trying to try and force that running back out of bounds without like move them as lateral as possible, like and they can change that up to like if they feel as though it's going to be a pass play, and depending on how many wide receivers are at one side, that weak side, if they're on the weak side, they're going to blitz. They are going to blitz if it's on the weak side. Say for example, there's one wide receiver on the left and three on the right, and there's only just the quarterback. You know it's going to be a pass.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're on the weak side where there's only one wide receiver, there's only a cornerback there, and you've already got your free safety behind you, it's you're more or less going to say, okay, I've pretty much got myself a free shot here. Like, because my defensive end, he's going to either get double teamed, or he's going to force the left tackle or right tackle, whatever, to put his attention on me, and I'm just going to swoop in on the outside or throw a stun, move more back into the center role for a blitz, and just take that hit the quarterback.
So one other area that I think we all kind of thought we might address during the draft, now I know we did pick up two guys in the undrafted, is tight end, and a name that's kind of sticking out to me here is Jordan Reed. Would you guys be interested?
No.
Collective no? Okay. We'll move along.
3 wars in it.
No. Don't give an eye. Like Jordan Reed he is a talented player, but what shape is he in? Let's be honest.
But I mean, and that's what the thing is. If he weren't injured, they wouldn't have got rid of him.
Yeah.
He was the Redskins' best player. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
For several years in a row, he was their best player. It was their tight end, Jordan Reed, and to let him go and missing so many X amount of games and given an extension or whatever on that. What do we know? So
no,
they don't do anything with tight end until next year's draft, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anything with it.
There's a lot of good upcoming tight ends coming out next year as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
you've got to see.
I'm actually, like I said, I'm really happy with that. The fact that in previous shows that we got Jarwin for those 3 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a good thing.
You have to see what Jarwin. You have to give Jarwin a full year and see what he does, because he never got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He never got it. The one when Witten was gone, and then when Witten came back, he still didn't get it. Everyone knew Jarwin was going to lose reps, and everyone thought, we hope he's not gonna, but he's gonna, and it's going to be a substantial.
Whenever he was in the field, he always did make an impact. Whether it was a blocking play or whether it was a passing play, he helped wide receivers get more open, because if it's like for a tight end, he is actually really quick for a tight end.
Yeah.
So
you have to see what he can do.
Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah.
Just to know where you are going into next year's draft, you have to see what he can do in a full year's worth.
I'm all for the Blake Jarwin train, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we also have to look at what we have with Dalton Schultz. He's gone into his third season. Yeah. As I say, we still don't know. I mean, I think Blake Bell is going to actually be one of our best pickups.
But Dalton still does a good job as well. Obviously, Jarwin's going to beat him in terms of depth chart now.
Yeah.
But when Dalton does come on, he can make some really important plays depending on what the situation is. But I can see him he's definitely more that third down tight end, I would say.
Yeah. I think from what I've watched, like the disappointing thing for me with Dalton Schultz was we were continually told he was coming out of a pro-style offense, and he gets pancaked repeatedly, or he gives up penalties.
Yeah.
I think there was one game where he gave up 3 penalties in about 5 plays.
Yeah.
and we need better than that. And that's where I think Blake Bell is gonna supplant him as the inline, as the blocking tight end, and Jarwin as the receiving tight end in those 12-man sets.
That's the problem with, like you said, with Schultz. There is like he's better at catching than he is at blocking.
Sure.
And if you're being a tight end, you are pretty much an extra offensive lineman in theory. Yeah. You need to know you need to know not to grab at all. If a referee sees you grasping that hand in front of that chest plate and looks as though that if your hand, like say for example, I'm here, if my hands go like that or like that, it's got to be holding because it looks as though that defensive lineman or linebacker is getting away from you. It's always make sure try and keep them as close to your chest plate as much as you can. And that's what kind of cost them. Just doesn't know how to kind of keep them close if they're trying to block them, and just down block them as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted with the dog.
So Jamie, was there anyone else or any other position that you saw on that list that interested you, or that you think we could do with strengthening, or are you happy with what we've discussed so far?
I think outside of the names that we've mentioned, I think you're then kind of clutching at straws and you kind of fill up the bottom end of your roster, and like you say, just kind of going back onto the Titan situation, you've got, you know what I mean, you've got some young players in there that instead of draft pick, or you've invested regardless if it's bottom kind of dollar, but you still invest in them. You need to give them a try rather than bringing in, like I say, maybe a veteran who's going to maybe only play 2 or 3 snaps a game. You might as well give those snaps to a youngster and see what you've got there. Someone just because of the name.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be more willing. They'll be more willing to make more sacrifices to get on the team.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think when we've had discussions before, just kind of off camera, like when it gets to kind of the draft and the lower rounds and the undrafted free agents, sometimes those kind of positions kind of excite me a little bit more, because like you say, because they not higher draft picks to want to make it, but they're playing for a roster spot. They're going to give you sometimes a little bit more, because you know that first round pick he's going to get 3-4 years before you even look at cutting him, whereas an undrafted free agent is going to get a few snaps in pre-season. So, and it's always good to see them guys kind of pushing and see if they can push off the roster, because it's a dog world, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're there to for the job.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of add on top of that though, Jamie, like, I mean, for example, 5th round, Bradley Annie as well.
We
know, a lot of scouts, not even ourselves, we had him ranked so much higher because what production. Obviously, there's some things they can work on and stuff like that, but the guy's got some natural talent about him, and he's got a point to prove. He's like, okay, so I've been put down in the 5th round. I should have been higher. He's got to go out. He's got every type of player in the lower rounds. I've always got a chip on their shoulder, even undrafted players. Like Romo, perfect example. Tom Brady, perfect example. I know I keep going back to quarterbacks, but it's because it's the more popular position in terms of players that were drafted lower or undrafted and end up making a career.
Yeah,
it's so much. And the same goes with again. For mentioning him again, is Greg Hardy. Was he not like a 6th round, 7th round draft pick? Look, if take away the bullshit, what he did outside of football. Look what he did. Look what he did in the football field. He earned a nickname called the Kraken, for example. Like a demolishing monster that actually would just kill anything in sight. And he did that. He did that for a good solid 7 years.
And just to throw another name in there, and he's a starting quarterback, but Dak Prescott, it was 4th round pick.
There we go.
Yeah.
As much as, and I always look at Dak. He's Marmite with people, and people either like him or they hate him. But it was shit what happened to Tony. But he came in and he took his opportunity with both hands and he never let go. And that's what, like you say, that's what you want from your low round picks.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, if, say for example, could you imagine, and here's, I want to get your address, and I know I'm kind of going off topic here. So we had Dak Prescott, we've had Tony Romo, not within 3 rounds of a draft. Can you imagine if we did draft Paxton Lynch? What would have happened?
Ooh, I think we'll move swiftly along from that one.
Like, because
Jason Garrett would have gone sooner.
Yeah, well, there's that.
We would have been gone 3 years ago.
There's that. There's definitely that. The reason I'm saying that is because, and I'm calling out our own fans here. I'm calling them out, the haters, right? Like, what more do you want from a 4th round draft pick, an undrafted draft pick who've set records for the franchise? What more do you want? Obviously, a Super Bowl. That is obvious. But it's not always on the quarterback. It's a team. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
You can't always pinpoint, like, there's one person you can pinpoint it on. That's the coach. We resolved that issue. Hopefully, we can move forward from that. Now,
do you know, we just be saying that and kind of just say we're off topic again, but kind of going back to the Romo situation. And not to sound, and I've said this to a lot of people, and if you look through tweets years ago, Romo wasn't the reason that we was 8-8. He was the reason we were 8-8. If it wouldn't be for Tony, we would have been shit for years. He had a core team around him, and we were only 500 because of the play that Tony made.
Yeah, that's very true.
People don't see that with Dak Prescott. If you said to anyone going into that season after he was drafted, what was it, 2016?
Yeah.
If you said to anyone, a 4th round QB is going to go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers in the 2nd round of the playoffs this year and almost win, it's going to come down to the last 12 seconds of the game. Even though he's playing on 1 foot, even though he's injured, it's Aaron Rodgers playing against a 4th round quarterback. If you go in and say that to anyone going into that year before anything had happened, you would have been laughed out of there. Yeah. No one would have believed it. The moment he went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, even though he was an injured Aaron Rodgers, the moment he went toe-to-toe with him, I was like, this is the guy, ride him all the way. They made the right decision.
And we were a team that went 13-3 that year. We were the top-ranked team.
But irrespective of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But irrespective of that, he was a rookie QB who went and played in that kind of spotlight against that personality, against that team, and came that close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And same again a couple of years after when we played it, like, against the Rams. Unfortunately, that game was just a disaster, obviously. But we had a really good, strong year. Yeah. Like near the tail end, like, we were calling for Garrett's head after the Houston game for the 4th and 1 punt, where we should have just run the ball because there was still a chance to win the game. But we still made the playoffs and we still made a good impact getting into just 1 game away from the NFC divisional title game.
Yeah. And again, that wasn't a game you could have laid the blame at that doorstep. That was the fact we had no defensive tackles. We had no one who could stop the run in that game.
No one could.
No, but people still did it.
And it was that bit embarrassing. It was the backup running back that did it to us.
Yeah. PJ Anderson. Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of exciting this year, more so than probably the last few years. I know we had a couple of runs where in 14 and 16 we had some really good potential, but our offense become very, very predictable. Like you say, 3rd down. I'd love to see the stats broken down. At 3rd down, majority of the time we run the ball on 3rd down. Even if it was 3rd and long, we would run the ball and we would play conservative ball and think, right, let's think field position. Let's try and get some yards off the punt. Whereas now we've got a different philosophy. We've taken a high offensive playmaker so we've got 3 potentially high quality as a trio for the receivers. We've got arguably one of the best running backs in the league, still one of the best offensive lines in the league. We've got I'm going to say top 15 QB just for the fact that people can't place Dak. A lot of people say top 10. A lot of people say top 15. So if you say top 15 at anything, so you've got a really high energy offense that's going to be very unpredictable this year just because of what can offer.
Yeah, we've got a lot of diversity this year compared to last season.
Yeah. You've highlighted the main people there, but you've not even mentioned. I know we mentioned him earlier. You've not even mentioned Blake Jarwin. You've not mentioned Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
So and that's the side of the ball. The run defense is shocking. I will never understand how our run defense was that shocking when they have to practice against Ezekiel Elliott. I will never understand that.
Yeah.
I will never understand it. I know he held out, don't get me wrong, but still, it's ridiculous.
But then you can flip it on that then as well, that they have to practice against that offensive line. They were practicing against the best defensive line in the freaking National Football League and still couldn't stop the Rams.
Yeah. This is true. But I think we've gone massively over time as we were allotted. We didn't even get
but I think I know we may have went a bit overboard, but we still haven't talked about one of the main issues is the rumours that has been coming out right now regarding Dak right now.
That's a touchy subject for me.
I can do this in about 20 seconds.
Go for it, Rich.
Okay. Dak Prescott very recently lost his brother. If anyone was in his situation, would they really give a crap about doing a deal when they already have a franchise tag deal there that is going to get him a lot of money? Would they just not leave it, worst case scenario, till the next year? You've got more time to go. Plus, if you do get that done, then they'll go and spend money on Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Here's my 20 seconds. So, the 4 years has been, what, $35 million a year? Is that correct?
The average per year that they're looking at is 35 million. Yeah.
Right, with the fifth year being 45.
No fifth year. That does not want a fifth year.
I know, but I'm saying that's the talk.
Yeah, the last.
Yeah,
right, so if that was to get the fifth year, when you break it down and put an average within those 5 years, it only works out as 37 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why everyone's getting so irate about it. Because all it is like if you were to break up that last year and put it back into the first, second, third year, it's only $2 million added on top of what he's already earning.
Because people like to do things very simplistically. And like I remember years and years ago, and it's the truest thing I ever heard. I can't remember if it was Mickey Spagnola or Brian Broaddus. I think it was Brian Broaddus. He said the only reason people have a problem with, I think it was Brandon Carr, was because they knew how much money he was getting paid. If people didn't know what was in these deals, they wouldn't have a problem with that getting re-signed. They would have no problem. People just want to say, QB A is getting paid X amount. He now wants to get same amount or a similar amount. No, I don't think he's as good. In a very multifaceted situation in what is arguably the biggest, the most team-orientated sport in the world. It's a very simplistic way of looking at it, especially when in a couple of years you've got the TV deal coming through. And that could potentially, if that deal does go through, could potentially be a very, very good team-friendly deal in the grand.
And not just that, within the third year, it can actually be broken down to an extension further going down the line.
This is before we even extend anything.
Sorry, Brian.
Go on, Jamie.
No, I was just saying we talked about it. I'm going to probably sound like I'm going to contradict myself here, but we talked about it a while ago. I'm not comfortable at any position, any team paying anybody that amount of money. No person on this earth is worth $35 million a year. I don't give a shit about what position they play or anything. You know what I mean? I just mean it. I mean it that way, and I mean it. But I think that Prescott is the QB to take this team forward. And I get what you're saying in terms of the breakdown, but I am not happy essentially paying him Russell Wilson money because he's not Russell Wilson standard yet. He can get there, but I at the minute I'm not happy to pay that amount of money.
That's the main argument. That's the main argument is because he's not earned that yet because he's not won the big one yet.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And it's a fair argument. It's like you should You've not won the big one yet, so therefore you should be paid just below. Just below.
But, go on, Rich. Final word with you.
Jamie, would you be happy paying Russell Wilson that money? The contract he's on now, would you be happy paying Russell Wilson that money?
Yeah.
I would.
So, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound like I said, contradict myself, but like he's played at such a level, he's won it, and you could probably argue that he's probably played with a lesser team than Dak in terms of the offense that he's played on. Seattle have always had a really good defense. I just think at the minute, I just wouldn't be comfortable at the minute just for the fact that he's not at Russell Wilson's level. I think he can get there. I just don't think he's there yet.
But the contracts aren't necessarily always done for what you've done in the past. It's also for what you're going to do in the future. And this is a fourth-round quarterback in his fourth year.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that. I agree, and it's I know what I said. I didn't want to kind of contradict myself, but it's just we said it months ago, and it was like, yeah, but the Cowboys shot themselves in the frigging foot anyway because they let this deal go on for so long. They could have had him potentially at 30 million months ago. They didn't. Yeah. They're pissed about, and now they're gonna have to say it's looking rather than paying close to 30 million, they have to play closer to 40 million.
And we all said this months back when that was the case. And loads of people were like, no. And it's like, well, now look at the situation you're in. Do you really want to let it long?
Sorry, one last note. If that's one little bit of criticism we can give to Jerry, he left it too late for that one.
Yeah. I'm going to stick my neck out here and say I don't think Jerry left it too late. Dak didn't want to play ball last year. Dak backed himself for year 4 of his contract. He didn't want to engage in a contract negotiation last summer. Yes, we could have got him for 30 million. Maybe we're going to have to pay him 40 million now to stay. But, his team didn't want to come to the table, so nothing we could have done, really.
Just to flip it one more time, let's hope it gets done. And we don't end up in a Kirk Cousins situation where he played on the tag for 2 years. And it just ended up getting to the point where they were like, there's no way that we want to pay this guy this amount of money. We paid him the franchise tag for 2 years. He's going to command even more because by the time it gets to the end of that second tag, the money's going to be even higher than we want to pay now.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more point. Last one, I promise. I can see what Dak's kind of doing in a way. He's taking what the NBA players are doing right now, taking these shorter-term contracts but get paid more. Like what LeBron did, and what's the other? Anthony Davis did. 2 year contracts, get paid X amount, do the exact same but higher at a different team.
Yeah,
like, it's becoming more shorter-term now.
Yeah.
But then again, like you said earlier, because of the TV deal. Like exactly the same situation. He wants a second bite because of that. And literally, last thing, Bri, if Jerry Jones does want Jamal Adams, he has to sign Dak first.
Yeah. Like I'm going to wrap it up with this this point. We did plan to cover this tonight. We ran massively over. It's great that we could run over like this. But that was the point. So hopefully, look, we'll get to discuss this next week, how we can get Dak signed up, because there's a lot of mistruths that a lot of our followers and other Cowboys fans are talking about Dak's contract situation.
Hopefully, we may have big news next week to actually even talk about, rather than debating it.
Yeah. Like if an extension can be worked out with Dak, there will be money freed up for a potential Jamal Adams deal, a potential Jadeveon Clowney deal, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about those things in next week's episode. But before we go, Paul, give us a shout out for Cowboys Experience again.
Oh yeah, so Cowboys Experience offer you a great service where you can actually get to meet Hall of Fame players, current rosters within the Dallas Cowboys, offer you a great experience for going to the tailgate, game packages, and so much more. To get for exclusive package deals with Cowboys Experience within the UK Cowboys, use the code UK Cowboys. And like I said, I've used them before. Get to meet players like Drew Pearson, Travis Frederick, Michael Gallup. What more can you want?
Rich, any final words?
Don't be a clown. Use them. Go meet Drew Pearson.
Jamie, our beloved leader, wrap it up.
Yeah, just like Paul just said, yeah. It's an amazing experience going to watch the Cowboys. If you want to top it off, go with the guys at Cowboys Experience, because like you say, and just to add to that, you've got Charles Haley as well. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yep, and Ed Tuttle Jones.
Yeah,
there we go. What more can we do for you folks tonight? We've pumped you up. We've given you all this information. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and.